Oh, there it goes. Okay. I think I got it. Okay. I'll just sit here, I guess. Alright. When were you guys born?
Huh?
When were you born?
August the 27th of 1934.
July 14th, 1940.
Okay. How many brothers or sisters did you have? And what do you remember
I
about them?
had 3 brothers and 1 sister. And Bernard passed away when he was probably about 18. And I've got Jim and me and Mary Jo.
I have 1 brother.
Your parents. Anything about them?
Now what was that?
Anything about your parents?
My mom and dad were terrific. Helped me out and helped me get started and give me a lot of good advice.
My dad died when I was 18 years old, and my mother remarried later on, and they were all great people.
Did you guys have any pets or animals growing up?
What was that?
Did you have any pets or animals growing up? Did you have any pets or animals growing up?
I had all kinds of pets.
Yes.
Horses was my main. I like to ride horseback and like dogs, but that was my main pets.
I had a lot of dogs, chickens.
Chickens.
I had a pet chicken, and a rock fell on it and killed it.
What were some games or hobbies you guys would do in your free time?
I played basketball in school.
What was that?
What were some games or hobbies you did in your free time?
Hobbies?
Yeah.
Mainly fishing and riding horses, and I guess that's about it.
Where did you live?
I lived about 5 miles east of here until I was 5 years old, and then I moved 8 miles south of Abilene, and then come back over here.
I've always lived here on this place. I think it's 5 miles south of Gibson, 1 west and a quarter south.
Okay. Where did you guys go to school, and if you went to college?
I didn't go to college. I graduated from Abilene High School, went to Rural Center in grade school, and a little school, 1-room schoolhouse called Lively Hall.
I graduated grade school from the Stag Creek grade school in 48, and then I went to Gibson High School, and I graduated in 52.
Did you go to college or anything?
Huh?
You never went to college.
I never went to college.
Do you remember any world events at the time?
I was in school, or any time.
I guess any time. Mostly like.
What's that?
I guess when they bombed the the Trade Center back in
2011.
Killed all the people.
Or 2001.
Now, what was the question?
Do you remember any world events over your lifetime?
A lot.
Have either of you been through any wars?
I gotta get these.
Have you been through a war?
In what?
Have you been through the war you fought over in, or didn't fight?
I was drafted into the Army in 52. Mm-hmm. I was out of high school. And I spent 3 years in the reserve. And I was in artillery, went to Colorado Springs. And then I think 56, I had 2 years of active duty. I spent that in Leonard Wood, Missouri, basic, and then I went to France, Lebanon, France, as a truck driver. I drove truck in France and Germany, and the last 2 months of my duty, they sent our truck company to Lebanon to support the Marines in Lebanon.
Most memorable event. Most memorable event.
First one.
The most memorable event.
I don't know. There's been. Now, I suppose my most memorable when Paul and the kids were born. I mean, as far as and when I met my wife.
One of mine was when the basement was caught fire and everything was flooded in and there was no way to get anybody in here or out of here. We got it out.
Wait, in this house?
Yes, in this house.
The basement was flooded and on fire?
Well, the plug-in shorted out where that bed is in the basement now. It shorted out and set that bed on fire. And there was no way out of here. No way to get a fire truck or anything else in.
What was clothing like?
It was different styles. It wasn't, you didn't go to town and buy a pair of brand new jeans that had holes all torn in them.
What was that now?
What was the clothing styles like back?
Well, they weren't too much different. You know, jeans, about like they are now. There wasn't too much change. A lot of the way people dressed, like going to church and stuff, wore suits. Today they wear jeans and whatever. But as far as the clothing style, I don't think it changed much. And I can remember. What do you think?
Well, Grandma disagreed.
Huh?
I said, I disagree, because you didn't go to town and buy a pair of holey pants, brand new pants that had the knees tore out of them, and...
Well, no, you didn't.
What was your guys' first jobs?
What, first job? I put in help sellers put in bulk tanks. At that time, they was going from cans that you threw in the water tank to bulk cooler tanks. Milk tanks. And I helped him for probably a couple of years putting in bulk tanks. And then later I went to work for Brown & Brown. We run concrete or asphalt on the roads and out at the base, and then I helped Dad for him.
I babysat and then went to work as a secretary for a construction company.
What construction company?
Steffick Construction Company in Abilene.
How did you guys meet?
I guess at a church supper.
Huh?
At a church supper.
Right. Chicken supper.
Any stories that stick out?
Nothing that I know of.
A lot of stories, you know. It's, you know, first we went, after I started, I was in the beef business. Then later I was in the hog business. And then later we milked cows for about 30 years, dairy cows. And right now I'm in the goat business. So it's been a
little bit of everything.
little, yeah.
What advice would you pass on?
Get a good education.
Huh?
What advice would you pass on?
If I had one, it's probably your attitude toward work. If you're willing to get out there and make a sacrifice, a lot of times you don't like it, but then your boss or whatever, when I first started out, but you just kind of ignore it and go on and do your job and try to do the best. I don't care what kind of job you get, do your best.
Show up for work.
Yeah, show up for work. Be considerate of, if you're hired, the person, take in mind first him, the guy that's hired you, and then kind of, but that is probably one of the best, and kind of make up your mind what you want to get into and kind of stick with it the best you can, you know.
What is the most difficult about getting older, and what is also rewarding about getting older? What was that?
Well, I guess watching the kids grow up and the grandkids grow up and the great-grandkids and...
Is that rewarding? Or is that the difficult?
It can be both.
What was that now?
You want to know what was the most rewarding thing about getting old and
It's
the most difficult thing?
I don't know if it's really try to enjoy every day. I mean, I don't care if it's with your kids or whatever. Try to enjoy what you're doing. If you don't, why, I don't know if life's that great. You just gotta enjoy your surroundings and friends and everything.
That's all the questions I have down.
That get your 5 minutes?
I think
That,
so.
no. A lot of, what would you do different?
It's all the changes, the modern equipment and
You know what I started out with? But, I mean, I was probably 13, 14 years old. Horses. We cultivated, we planted the corn, horses. We only had the old 36D, and we used it just to plow a disc or something. Other than that, everything was done with the binder, and everything was run with horses. And then in 48, we got now a little house challenge. That's when the horses left. And it just went from, it has changed, I'm not sure to the best, but all this electronic stuff and everything, I hope it's the best, but that'll be up to you guys to decide later on. I know it's for me it's complicated, but you grew up with it, so.
there'll be a lot more changes.
I think they're changed maybe 2